Many thanks for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television world over, including Nigeria. Safety and regulations issues play pivotal roles in the aviation sector. And I think we're not doing badly here in Nigeria, though an expert is here today who would also take us through especially the safety and regulations in the Nigerian aviation sector last year, and also take a peep into how this year will be in that sector, and perhaps also maybe some few lessons can also be learned from across the world, especially from the United States at the moment, where in less than 2 weeks 2 air mishaps were recorded. And so today on the program we have joining us an aviation expert, is also the General Secretary, Aviation Safety Roundtable Initiative, Olumide Ohwayo. Thank you for being here on the program today.
Thank you. Good morning.
Right. Let's probably start on this note. Ajibola and I, just before we took that break, talked about that video that went viral on Monday where a Nigerian was said to have been allegedly mistreated on a Kenyan airline, of course, in Nairobi. Do you have insight into that incident and where it is at the moment?
Okay, thank you. Let me start by saying I would rather be an analyst.
Okay, an analyst
than an expert. Because the
okay.
other just told us that he's the only expert in the industry. So let's just give him this title and let others stay with what they want.
Right.
But I think the same video that went viral is what I saw.
Okay.
And then I saw the tweet of the Director of Consumer Protection, which under whose purview such acts fall upon. Director of Consumer Protection,
NCAA, okay.
Who said they've asked the Kenya Airways to take corrective measures and see what can be done to compensate the woman and ensure that her journey is smooth. But that's that. I don't want to use that very video alone to make my judgment.
Right.
And I think for the director to have made that tweet, probably has seen more than what we are seeing on the social media. Because what we saw was 2 ladies, the consumer and the passenger and the airline person, battling over the exchanging words. And then the next thing we were told that one of the napkins, private napkins that was used, was thrown at that, and at that point, that staff lost it. No one will condone such act from anybody. You know, whether it's a Nigerian or a passenger or a cousin, you do not treat people and their duty as if they are trash, irrespective of what has happened. You know, so I think if that actually happened, then the tone of that incident might change. If that was proven that was what really happened, because you have harassed a staff rather than his duty post. But going back to the issue itself, I'm wondering why they're hanging on, because I still read the statement of Kenyan Airways. They were still hanging on the transit visa, the Schengen visa for the lady, because the lady bought Manchester, Paris, Lagos. Right. Lagos, Paris, Manchester. So if someone who lives in Manchester and on the way to Nigeria stopped in Paris and was able to get into Paris and came to Nigeria, is not going back and you're not asking for Schengen visa. What visa did she go into Paris with on her way when it was coming in? So that needs to be clear. Because I know as a resident of England, you don't need Schengen visa. Right, because except if she wasn't carrying a British passport. Again, if the Schengen visa was mandatory, how did they leave Lagos to Nairobi? The office, the counter in Lagos would have checked here. I said, no, you cannot go to Paris, and you have to go directly to Manchester. Right. You know, and that would have been done from Lagos. You couldn't take a connecting flight. Yes. Right. You know, that would have been told she would have been told that from here, and then probably ensure that she knows what she's doing. But she had left Lagos on the hope that she was going to take a return journey the same way she came, and you now say she cannot get in with the Schengen visa. And I think that's the area that needs to be cleared. Right. Is that a documentation that makes her legit in England has expired, or that documentation only allows you to enter Paris only once, one way, and then not the other way. So there's some clarifications that we need to. We need more information before we can really say this was what happened. But the altercation we saw in the video was just not right from both parties.
Right. Could it have been a better way for the airline officials to have explained to her?
I think it was from the explanation that
triggered,
that triggered
okay,
what we saw.
The anger.
Well, from it was, but she said she had stayed at the airport for 17 hours. Now, I would not I don't want us to buy into those number of hours, because when you want a cheaper fare, you are ready to buy such tickets. There are tickets just get available. You can even stay at an airport for 21 hours.
It was their choice.
Yeah, it was a choice. But, she didn't tell if the flight was delayed. But I know you can afford to stay if you want something cheap. You can take 17 hours layover, 21 hours layover. It's all a choice. It's what you have in your pocket. And you can see somebody going to Paris, going to Nairobi, going from Manchester, who has decided to go through Nairobi to come to Lagos, about 4 stops. So she was definitely looking for something that was pocket friendly. And so when you look for something that is pocket friendly, there's also some very inconvenient conditions that are also not too friendly that comes with it.
All right. Okay. Based on that, let's go back to the issue at hand and talking about safety and regulations in Nigeria. We know that, of course, especially the NCA, they're saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that airlines, maintain safety and issues in Nigeria. If you take a look at the current leadership of the NCA in Nigeria and how issues concerning safety have been dealt with, would you say that we are on track?
Well, definitely we are on track. Okay. I can understand the apprehension right now due to the concurrent incidents in Nigeria and accidents outside Nigeria. True. The serious incidents in Nigeria and accidents outside Nigeria. And there's been serious apprehension about air transport safety. Well, what is going on? Is it still safe to fly? I can say boldly here, and I'm on record that it's still safe to fly in Nigeria and anywhere else in the world. Okay. Aviation remains the safest mode of transportation, and the NCA, as it is, with the present leadership, are also doing their best to ensure that we are all safe. And in saying that, I will tell you, the NCA recently had the ICAO auditing. ICAO is the worldwide overall regulator for all countries. And we passed. We barely passed, but we still passed. And if you look at those 8 critical areas, we did very well as usual with the regulations. We know we are very good with having the rules. We did very well with regulations. We scored about 94%. That means the rules and the regulations we have in place are good. We did very well with the technical materials that are supposed to be followed by all organizations. We did very well with the quality of inspectors in place. But you remember I started with barely passed. Then these 3 points brought us down. One is the surveillance of certified entities in the industry.
You probably have to also break that down. Surveillance of right?
Records of certifications, licenses given, and the third was implementation of safety resolutions. And in those areas, those are the ones called 50, 40 something percent, and another one 50 something percent. Those three actually brought the high scores on the other place down to about 70.1, and 70 is pass mark. So we've got about 70.34. We still pass. And so in those 3 areas now that the agency needs, the regulator, since we're talking about regulation, need to work on and see, and seriously they're working on it to close the gaps on those 3 areas, so that we can improve on that 70 and maybe move to an average of about 80 to 85 or 90%.
Okay, so from this clearance now, does that imply that our reputation is good when it comes to safety of the aviation industry in Nigeria?
Oh, definitely. You see, in the past, we scored an average of about 80 to 85. This time around, we scored about 70%, just above the pass mark, and we passed. But if you look at that, in that league of that 70%, we're not alone. There are some European countries in there, and some African countries. So it's not as if it was a Nigerian problem alone. So yes, the 70% is below what we used to have in the past. But we can see this is an opportunity for us to close those. If we can close those gaps, then we can go back to where we truly belong.
So what are those critical areas?
I remember we were one of the few countries that have the FAA, that's the Federal Airport Authority, the US Category 1 certification. No, presently withdrawn, but we are one of the few countries that had it, and I'm sure those structures are still in place.
So what are those critical areas that we need to improve on?
I just mentioned
to make the score better
yes,
next time.
Those three.
Those three things I mentioned.
Okay.
Right.
The surveillance of certified entities, the record keeping of licenses and certificates of organizations, and the third one was safety, implementation of safety issues.
Okay.
So if you want me to bring this, I can.
Yeah, you will definitely break it down, but let's start from the surveillance of the entities, because I think that is where Omni Blue and East Wind were knocked by the NCA, where of course they broke the rule, and of course this had to do with falsification, reproduction or alteration of applications, licenses, certificates, their logbook, report or records. And so since this is part of what you just mentioned in the three areas, can you please break it down? What exactly did these two companies do wrong, and got them to get the big stake from the NCA?
But you're just
yeah, I mean, so a lot of people do not understand when you talk about all of these things.
Why I do not want to go into breaking it down, because the two organizations have appealed against that decision and saying that this is not
what happened,
and
right.
they need to clarify themselves. So I think on that basis, I don't want to
break it down, right? But okay, so speaking generally
to what you said, is something that almost every Nigerian business sector have.
Okay.
You have people, you have organizations that would just want to, in order, like I said, that we have done very well with the regulations, and all they need for them to stay afloat, they look at the regulations, see how they can bypass it, see how they can get documents to ensure that they meet with the regulations, and it is where we are failing now. In part of those states is that you have your records of, look, if this person said he's presented this documentation here, and a year ago he didn't have it, how did he get it in 6 months?
Okay.
That's your record keeping, and that's the area we have. One of the areas that we feel
we perform poorly.
Because and that shows that we need to upgrade
our record
keeping into technology-driven area, rather than what we had before. You bring out the file, you go call for this person. No, don't do. Everything should be in the system. So when one expires, when one is expiring, one is getting out, it just shows. It comes up automatically on the system.
Right.
And I think that is what I can want to encourage. Not coming when I come to your
Don't bring papers.
Come and tell me this is the file for LTV Airlines, this is the file for Lagos State Government Airport. No, that's not what we want to see now.
Let's upgrade and see those things there.
So as I come in, I just click on it and I get all the information I want. And for those who want to change anything, you cannot change the master system in my office. You can do whatever you need to do. So that's what I think that's area they will be asked to work upon. And I think NCA said that they have to move from manual or whatever technology they're using to be more of IT.
Right.
And so these records can be active. You cannot easily change it. But again, you see, this is even little. If you know that before this sanction on these two airlines, and I'm even surprised they even mentioned names, where the issues of the private jet operators who were using their private aircraft to run commercial charters. And you know, here's a country that everybody wants to be a big man.
Yeah.
So during the political era, political meeting, political elections, they were just using their private aircraft, offering it at pay per hire for people to use. And if you could remember that almost last year we had about 2 or 3 incidents of aircraft,
helicopters.
And some of them were this private jet. Since they clamped down on the operation, we have not had any incidents with respect to the private jet operators. So it comes again to surveillance of certified entities. One of the things we did badly on.
Okay, infrastructure in our airports is critical to aviation safety, whether we like it or not. So in terms of infrastructure and the standard of our airports generally, would you say we are better than what we used to be? And what are those areas that we need to address to make it better?
No. If it comes to infrastructure, I cannot use the word better.
You just went below the belt.
Don't let me lie to you.
Because you see some of our runways and
don't let me lie to my brother. We are not better. We are not better. I give it to MM2. That's a private terminal.
Okay.
And consistently, they've sustained their operations. They've been able to, despite all the issues with the Nigerian security, power, communication, IT, they've been able to maintain an airport. And they boasted that, since they started operation, the power had not gone beyond a minute
before it is restored.
I think a minute, about 2 minutes before it's restored. And I think it shows that, it symbolizes that we have the Nigerian strength, and if we have people, if we put the right peg in the right hole, then you will have things done. But for the infrastructure that we have right presently, it's not good enough. We need to work on improving it. And again, it comes to one of the things that made us go down on that ICAO, because I'll keep referring to it as we begin to bring up the topic. One of the reasons that made us go down on that ICAO rating, one of them was that the air navigation services and the aerodrome, all this what I've mentioned, had to do with the air side of the airport, where the aircrafts land, the instruments that aid them in landing, the runway itself, all are said to have outlived their year of usage, and they need to be changed and upgraded. Again, they also complain about the air traffic controllers, that they are not adequate enough. So these are areas. This is one of the areas that brought us down, and one of the infrastructure you mentioned about is just that air navigation facility. The passengers don't see it.
Yes.
What the passengers see is the airport itself, the terminal building. But that area is where the aircrafts land, and that is where we have the safety-related issues. And that's an area that we need to work on. We need to improve on the navigation facility, and that's what recently the MD fund brought out a bill of maybe 500 and something billion.
And people were laughing.
And people were laughing. Actually, she had to go on air to explain. Look, it's not that I want this money in my pocket.
Right.
Look this is the number of runways I have. This is the number of airports I have. These runways, almost all of them have gone beyond their lifespan. So we need to rework those runway, and this is why you're having a 530 something billion naira as cost of repairs.
Right.
That's huge funds, and I just see how I won't say how they want to go about it to raise that money.
Should we involve more private sector then?
Yes, I am strongly of the opinion. It's when you have 21 airports and you say you have only 3 that are
international,
viable, that are viable, that are making money, then something is wrong. And there's no, at the end of the day, what happens is that as you try to move money from the 3 to go and take care of the remaining 18, the 3 that are supposed to have those funds to maintain and run their own operation will suffer, because rather than
pulling back the money into those ones,
rather than investing that money into that airport,
you're spreading it to others.
That is generating that money. You're spreading to the weaker ones who will continue to be weak if all they do is just sit down and wait for that subvention from those three airports,
making the money.
So if you continue with that method, then it will not work. So there's a need to revamp the airport structure as presently being managed by the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria. As it is today, it is seen more like that golden
egg. That lays.
Everybody wants to make sure that it sends his own person there to run it, and then what happens? After the person goes, it goes. You can see now, for the chairman that they appointed for the board now, they brought Ganduje to fund. Ganduje was brought to fund. Of all the agencies in Nigeria, it was Ganduje that was brought to fund. I won't go more than that.
Even the one that you said is okay. We can read in between the lines.
And again, after the government said all federal agencies, revenue agencies should send in 40% of the revenue. And suddenly they moved from 40 to 50. They must have some information for them to move that from 40 to 50. And the first 10 in Nigeria have two aviation agencies: the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria and Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority and Regulator.
Oh wow!
In the top 10 revenue
of the agencies
for the Federal Government of Nigeria, Should I go further?
No, it's fine. Part of safety issues would definitely need to also talk about aircraft maintenance, and this is also a big issue because so many of this, of course, this is due to financial constraints, and like Ajibola said, should more private investors be involved here? So when you take a look at the aging aircraft system that we have in Nigeria, I think only very few can probably afford to buy something not so old. How much of a problem or how much of a safety challenge is this issue?
No, let me take your one part of your statement now. That aging aircraft, don't let us buy into that phrase in the sense that it is generally used to show that yes, we are working, we are stopping some, we are working on safety, and based on that, we will not allow. The word aging aircraft came during the era of
Hadi Sirika?
Not Hadi Sirika, the first lady, the first Stella
if I remember her name, I can see her face right now.
That lady during that time.
Emeka Chikwe or something?
Chikwe.
Kema
Chikwe.
Yeah. When we had those rapid accidents, just like the US are having right now in South Korea. And I hope you know in South Korea, after a plane crashed, killing about 179 passengers, only 2 weeks after, an aircraft that was loaded for passengers to take off started burning right there.
And then they had to evacuate.
I'm sure if that had happened in Nigeria today, even when I come here, they would have closed this. They said, don't talk, don't do anything for me. Nigeria is a mess. But that happened. And in the US itself, look at the concurrent incidents, crashes, the mid-air collision, and the one that went and crashed in the city. So now, coming to this topic, aircrafts age is not an impediment to safety for aircraft. Most of the aircrafts coming from the US to Nigeria are over 20 years. And some of the European airlines. It is the maintenance. The difference between those old ones and the new ones is just that cost of maintaining it is higher than the new ones. But on safety, on durability, on that certification that this aircraft, the body, the fuselage, its operating system are up to standard, nobody goes below the standard. And I can tell you, apart from that maintenance, those aircraft that are older can fly. We have seen new aircraft crash.
True.
We have seen old aircraft crash. So it's particularly not an age thing. And going back to that semi-crowd surveillance, you would not be that the highest score we got was from airworthiness. And what does airworthiness mean here? Is that the aircraft are certified okay.
Okay. So
if those aircraft are not okay, there is no way we would have scored 94% in airworthiness. And it is some people here, it's the same inspector that they also gave pass mark, the same regulation they gave pass mark that certified those aircraft. So those aircraft are airworthy. And just like in every road sector, accidents, incidents must occur.
Right.
Must occur. As developed as the US is, look at what has happened in the last 2 weeks. Fortunately for us, all ours, I know we're going to come to that. All the one that's been happening in Nigeria has just been serious accidents. We've not had any accidents. A tire burst, no switch collapse, and no life was lost in any of these incidents. Yes, we had injuries, some persons that were injured, but not life-threatening injuries. So we have tried as much as possible to show the world that we have the rules, we have the temperament, we have the personnel, we have the documentation. We are following the templates for those aircraft to be airworthy, and that has been done. But now coming to the repair, the MRO you said when you're talking about now, the maintenance repair organization. I think Sirika and those before him wanted that national anger project.
Right.
That project to be managed by the federal government. In the process, they hindered the private sector from coming in.
Okay.
Because for you to go into the MRO, you must have the approval from the ministry.
Okay.
And that was hindering private sector participation. Again, during that process of delivering the national anger project, some of these ministers did not exclude their self-interest from the project.
Right.
That also saddled it, because as they were coming, they were asking for their own percentage. They wanted the one that was going to favor them. And that was how we wasted all the years trying to get an MRO, and we don't get it. But look at what has happened in the last 1 year of this administration.
Right.
You have about 4 or 5 MROs that are coming up, all privately driven. Just 2 weeks ago, one led foundation in Abuja, ExyJet. And those are just going, they're going beyond just repair. They're also going to manufacturing aircraft components.
Right.
So if you give room to the private sector,
participation,
if the leader can exclude his own interest from the business, from the rules and policies, it will be to advantage of the industry. The last 8 years, South Africa was a sad one. None of this roadmap was achieved, including the famous Nigerian air project.
Right. But at least it looks like things are getting better now. And then we have a minister that probably also carries industry players along.
Yeah, I must agree.
All right. Jibola, you were going to ask a question.
Aside from the maintenance of the aircraft that Abimbola mentioned, another interesting topic that we have discussed over time on this particular program is the establishment of airports. You see some states in Nigeria having airports, and these airports, when you look at them, they are not viable. Why are these airports being approved?
Can I go ahead? I share your passion, and your passion is based on what we have seen about government at all levels here. The lack of accountability, the thought process that's when you think they're supposed to be working for the public in the all cry as if they're working for the public, they actually have their own private interest and agenda in it. And it's in that process that not only even within the industry, people have the same passion as why are they set up. But as I was coming in now, I was reading a report from the European Union, and they were looking at 785 million euros that have been spent on airports in Europe that are not viable. You cannot do it, some airports not being viable. That's why some countries have put something like essential air services program for cities and towns that do not have air services or there's no road to. The government sponsor by some seats on airline to operate flights into that.
Into
they
those
have
places.
it in Europe. In the US, it's called public service obligation routes. They pay some airlines to fly to those airports so that such cities can have air services. But if you look at our own city now, you say, okay, Nigeria is one, there's no island, so we probably don't need it. But with the advent of Boko Haram and the insurgents, is air transport now a very important mode of transportation?
Right.
You see, airports are built as a social service. Anyone built by the government, it starts as a social service, not for profit making. It is one built by the private that starts, the private person does not invest his money into.
Well, he's not going to get something back.
But I can tell you in Nigeria, some of them have gone ahead to do that just to have flights to them. If you look at the Bachita, the Nigerian sugar company in Bachita, where the MD, the plane dropped over and the MD died, they built the runway and a mini airport for their company.
Right. Just to aid.
Some of the religious centers are asking for runway now, their own airport to operate. Those ones are not going to make profit, but it's just to give access to their facility. So you see that it is not always the issue of profitability. But then when you now look at that, when you have a state that can barely pay salaries, that can barely provide their facilities, why are you going to invest so much money in the airport business? Yes, it is that area I agree with you. And my major problem with almost all of them is they're recently competing about who has the longest runway. Who has the longest runway? Who has the biggest terminal? Of what value is a long runway that is not used?
Right.
And like every other building, when you build something that is not used over time, it begins to deteriorate faster than the one that is being used. So all the money invested in such a gigantic project is gone. And yes, the states are making it look like elephant project now with what I've said. Why should you build start building a big runway that can take the 737, 747,
Why are you even flying the 737 there?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
The next airport here is one in Ogun State.
But isn't that a
So
cargo?
why would you be building a long runway? What I advise, you can take that land, that huge land, that can accommodate that runway in future. That can accommodate big terminals in future. But do not use it
At the moment.
at the moment. Don't use it to, not because you have collected 500 acres for the airport, then you must use everything.
At
No,
the same
you
time, yeah.
begin
Gradually.
gradually. As you begin to expand, as opportunities begin to come, you begin to expand.
Okay.
And that's what is killing most of them. In their attempt to show, I have the biggest runway. they take a lot of money, siphon, put a lot of money into it.
And at the end of the day, they are not, they're not viable.
there.
Okay.
Airports would definitely find their level once you build it a bit. If you start small and operations start, then you begin to see other activities.
You harness other opportunities that
around the
will
airport.
come
I
back.
think what has been happening for just what we're looking at just airline activities, airline coming in and going out. That should not be. They should look at other activities that can be done within that airport vicinity. That can make that. There's the flying club. Yeah. The Aerotropolis project. You can even bring business around the airport itself, such as free trade zone.
Okay.
To attract some businesses to come around. So there's so many things you can do with the airport you have. But don't start big and don't waste the state resources that should be used for that for such gigantic projects. Okay. And that's why you see almost all of them that are built during the IBB, PNB's reign, we are handing it over back to the federal government.
Right.
Ebonyi handed it over back to the federal government. Gombe handed it over to the federal government. Kebbi handed it over to the federal government. As we are building, even Yobe. Yobe Commission, as the commission, next morning they hand it over.
All right,
and if you look at the present trend now, for all those who are building recently, the present government is asking the federal government to refund them the amounts spent on the project. So if you're going to refund me, why would I build there? But everybody will be building and you get their refund.
Very quickly before we allow you go this morning, 2 questions I'm going to lump into one. And of course, would be issues around local airports. Oftentimes we tend to also not put all attention into what happens in our local airports, talking about safety regulations. And of course, I will tie that with consumer breaches. We also have a couple of airlines. You'll buy a ticket for 8 a.m. You will not be airlifted until 9 p.m. and you've wasted God knows how many hours in a day. So how do we begin to deal with these issues?
I was surprised it was not the first that was going to come up, but I knew that was going to be.
How do we deal with these issues?
I think they have made that easy now. Like I said at the beginning, the regulations are there. Everything you're asking for, if your flight is delayed by 1 hour, 3 hours, the night boarding, they are all in the regulations. What has been happening in the past has been implementation, and then passengers reporting back. Because rather than report back, you only read them in the pages of newspapers or on the social media. And the NCA will not act on that.
Okay.
There must be a formal report from a passenger who was affected. It's thereafter they'll take it from there. And now you see, the Director of Consumer Protection, the present NCA, has now, with the help of the minister, have now expanded and made use of IT now and all other avenues
and
outlets for
feedback.
Now you can right at the airport, each airport now you see the desk. You can also go on your line immediately, type in the consumer protection and type in your request and your problem, and they deal with it.
And this is giving a positive feedback?
Oh yeah, the airlines are under severe pressure right now. And that's why before they check you in now, they first look at what they have on schedule. They now tell you your flight, before you leave your house now, they 2 to 4 hours, they send you a message that, okay, your flight has been moved, so you don't leave your house. Before you won't know that when you get to the airport. So I think the process has started, and I think a new company is coming up now who wants to take everything into data so that passengers can even be compensated for being late. And and I think they are working on a lot of things, and you see as time goes by this year that there will be improvement on that.
Are we better with the?
But we cannot. But let me state categorically that everywhere in the world, delays, cancellations are still there till date.
They are.
The difference is how they handle the passengers, how they compensate them, how they inform them, and how they ensure that outside the compensation, they are put on other flights to get to their destination.
Okay, so finally, the Jet A1 fuel, how are we dealing with that, especially now that there's seemingly a free market in the oil and gas industry?
Oh, the Jet A1, we are not isolated from Nigerians. Once you see that the international price is going down for the PMS, it's also with Jet A1. But the truth is, since the commissioning of the Dangote refineries, the fuel has been available. We've not had the sort of the shortage that we have in the past, and I think the price now is now a bit stable. The problem with the industry is that the industry does not mind the price per se. It's the stability of that price, so you can plan. And that was what affected us with the issue of the dollar when when you had a wide gap between what the government was offering and what was in the market, and that was what happened. That we had a lot of foreign foreign funds that was trapped here for the foreign airlines, and even for the private operators. They did not want to buy anything from the black market. They all wanted the official rate, and in the process of waiting for the official rate, their aircraft were getting expired and were due for maintenance, and they were parking there. But now that this government has come in, they have marked the two markets now. So wherever you want to get your dollar, go and get it. It's the same price you get from both the public and the private. Okay.
All right. This is where we'd have to leave this conversation this morning. Thank you so much, Olumide Wanyo, for finding time to be here with us on the program today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we return, the conversation continues. Adebimpe will be here with her conversation.